The Galactic Council chamber had seen wars, treaties, and the fall of empires, but never silence like this. Rows of alien delegates sat motionless, bioluminescent eyes wide with disbelief. The holographic transmission from the human fleet still shimmered before them, replaying again and again, the destruction of the Van Dominion's armada in less than 12 minutes. It had begun as a warning. The Van had attacked one of Earth's colonies on the frontier, a small agricultural world named Haven 3. In their arrogance, they thought humanity's reach was still fragile, that the Terran Federation's peacekeeping forces would hesitate, debate, and plead for diplomacy. But they forgot one thing: humanity remembered everything. When news reached Earth, the response was not confusion. It was fury. The United Earth Defense Command convened in silence, reviewed the atrocities broadcast across the stars, and issued a single directive that echoed through every ship, every soldier, and every soul under the Terran banner: no mercy. The first retaliation wave came from nowhere. Thousands of stealth cruisers decloaked on the Varnian borders simultaneously, their railguns primed and their fusion torpedoes humming like thunder. Before the Van could even react, 23 of their industrial moons were gone, vaporized into stardust. Alien media called it barbaric efficiency. Humans called it justice. The Council demanded a ceasefire, but the Terran admiral leading the strike, Fleet Admiral Reyes, simply transmitted a live message: "We warned them. Now they will understand consequence." The Van Home Defense Fleet assembled to meet the humans, 5,000 capital ships, centuries of war experience, and confidence born of dominance. The humans sent 2 fleets. 2. Each with less than half the numbers of their opponent. Yet when the battle ended, there were no human losses. Observers could not comprehend what they saw. The Terran ships didn't fight traditionally, they fought mathematically. Every railgun slug, every beam strike, every maneuver was calculated with terrifying precision. The Van fired blindly, desperate to hit anything. Humanity replied with silence. An Annihilation. One Van officer's desperate transmission was intercepted and later played before the Council: "They're not fighting us. They're erasing us." After the battle, Earth didn't gloat. There were no victory speeches, no demands for tribute. Instead, humanity broadcast a single statement across the galactic network, translated into every known tongue: "Let this be a lesson: peace is not our weakness. It is our restraint." The Council chambers erupted with debate. Some accused humanity of warmongering, others of defending the innocent. But beneath the shouting, a deeper emotion ran through every delegate: fear. Not of humanity's power, but of their resolve. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled through consensus and caution. Wars were limited, punishment symbolic. But humans operated by different logic. They didn't fight to punish, they fought to end threats completely. When the Van homeworld fell silent, every planetary weapon deactivated, every surrender code transmitted, the Council expected the humans to claim the planet. They didn't. Instead, Terran ships dropped relief supplies and medical drones. The message was clear: we destroy aggressors, not civilians. In the following days, dozens of smaller empires sent envoys to Earth, offering apologies for past slights and treaties of friendship. Humanity accepted them all, politely, calmly, with unsettling composure. The Council reconvened weeks later to assess the aftermath. The Van Dominion, once a proud military empire, was gone. Its systems now watched over by Terran peacekeepers. No conquest, no occupation, only silence and rebuilding. An elder alien delegate, his voice trembling, finally spoke what everyone thought: they are not conquerors, they are executioners of war itself. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council voted unanimously to adopt a new clause: any act of aggression against a Terran colony shall be treated as a crime against galactic stability. From that day on, the humans no longer needed to threaten. Their reputation did the work. Entire fleets rerouted their patrols to avoid Terran space. Pirates surrendered on sight when Terran transponders appeared. Even the most arrogant warlords hesitated before speaking Earth's name aloud, and within the quiet halls of the Galactic Council, that silence remained, the silence born not of peace, but of awe. For all their weapons, laws, and ancient wisdom, the galaxy had learned a singular truth: when Earth retaliates, it does not scream. It does not rage. It simply acts, and the stars themselves fall silent to watch. The silence after Earth's retaliation became its own kind of legend. Not the silence of fear, but of awe, the kind that follows after witnessing something unstoppable, inevitable, and precise. Every galactic broadcast replayed the footage, the Terran fleet gliding through the wreckage of the Varn Armada like silent gods among ash. The Varn home system was now a graveyard of molten moons and drifting steel. But amid that devastation, the humans did something no one expected: they sent rescue ships. They saved the enemy's wounded. To the galaxy, this was madness; to humanity, it was principle the Varn survivors didn't understand. They had slaughtered a Terran colony, exterminated civilians, and desecrated a world, yet now the same humans who avenged it offered them food and medicine. The contrast shattered them more deeply than any weapon could. On the council floor, the debate raged for days. "They are unpredictable," hissed a scaled senator from the rule species. "No empire should wield such unbounded might." A calm voice answered him, the human ambassador. "We don't seek empire. We seek peace. But if you force war upon us, we finish it." Those words were recorded, analyzed, and quoted across thousands of systems. Some called them arrogance. Others called them prophecy. Every civilization that had once dismissed humanity as naive now reviewed their defense treaties with trembling claws. The Varn had once been bullies of the outer systems; they believed strength justified cruelty. Now, their empire was gone, erased in days by beings who had once been laughed at for their primitive origins. The irony was not lost on the Council. For centuries, the galaxy had measured power by fleets and territory. Humanity measured it by conviction. And that difference was what terrified the Council the most. Admiral Reyes became a myth in her own lifetime. Aliens whispered her name like a curse and a prayer alike. Some said her flagship, the TFS Retribution, could strike across light years without warning. Others claimed it carried a weapon that could shatter stars. The truth was simpler, and far more frightening. It wasn't the weapon that made the humans unstoppable. It was their unity. No internal rivalries, no divided command. Humanity stood as one will, one voice, and one vengeance. When smaller empires sought to exploit the chaos left by the Varn's fall, they found human fleets already there, not to conquer, but to protect. The Terran banners flew over former slave colonies, and the humans did what no other species dared: they freed them. Entire sectors changed overnight. The word Terran became synonymous not just with fear, but with justice. Slavers vanished, pirates disbanded, and systems once drowning in corruption began to breathe again under the shadow of Earth's new power. Still, the Council watched uneasily. To them, Earth was a paradox, the executioner and the healer. The Council speaker herself addressed the assembly: "We face a new kind of civilization, one that believes in mercy only after victory." Behind closed doors, the Council drafted contingency plans. Secret coalitions discussed strategies in case Earth turns its gaze upon us. But deep down, even those plotting against humanity knew the truth: if the Terrans came, there would be no second chances. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people were silent too. No celebrations, no cheers. The images of Haven 3's burning field still haunted them. Humanity had not fought for glory, it had fought for grief. At the Terran Memorial Dome, thousands gathered beneath holographic skies. A recording of Admiral Reyes' speech played: "We did what we had to. Not for conquest. Not for revenge. But so no one will ever think again that we can be broken." The galaxy's media tried to interpret human behavior. Were they remorseful? Triumphant? Indifferent? None of the categories fit. Humans were something the galaxy had no word for, a species that could love deeply, hate fiercely, and yet act with absolute precision. In time, Terran technology spread across the stars. They shared medicine, food synthesis, and quantum AI. They rebuilt where others would have abandoned. And yet, every system knew, behind that compassion waited the memory of the fleet that ended a war in minutes. A century-old alien proverb was rewritten: when a Terran speaks softly, listen, because the last time they shouted, stars died. Still, there were those who sought to test them again. A new confederacy of warlords formed beyond Council space, calling themselves the Kreth Dominion. They mocked Earth, saying humans were all talk, all emotion. The Council begged them to reconsider. They didn't. Within 72 hours of the first Kreth incursion, the Dominion ceased to exist. No survivors, no wreckage worth salvaging, just silence and radiation. When asked for an explanation, the Terran fleet's official statement read, "Response complete." That phrase alone entered galactic language as a warning. Even children whispered it when their elders spoke of human wrath. Response complete meant the Terrans had finished what they started, completely, utterly, and without remorse. The Council held an emergency summit afterward. One alien general asked the question all feared to voice: if they ever decide they no longer need us, what then? The human ambassador smiled faintly. Then you'll never see it coming. And with that, he walked out, leaving the chamber in frozen silence once more. But humanity never turned tyrant. They had seen what power did to others, and it disgusted them. Instead, they became guardians of balance, enforcers of peace not through laws, but through example. Wherever war brewed, a single Terran dreadnought would appear in orbit, and the fighting would stop instantly. Entire generations grew up under the idea of Terran deterrence. Children learned that peace endured not because the Council decreed it, but because humanity stood ready to end war itself. Admiral Reyes eventually retired, returning to Earth. When asked how she wanted to be remembered, she said only, as someone who made sure the galaxy never forgot what happened when you hurt what we love. And indeed, they never forgot. Every empire, every colony, every species carried the memory of the day Earth's retaliation silenced the stars and made the proudest conquerors weep. The Galactic Council still meets in its grand chamber. The seats of the Van remain empty, untouched, a reminder carved into history. And at the heart of the chamber, a new emblem glows, a blue and white sphere encircled by stars. Earth's emblem. Humanity's mark. Beneath it are inscribed the words that changed the galaxy forever: its peace, through strength. Justice, through memory. Earth endures. And so the Council's silence remains, eternal, reverent, and terrified. For they all know that somewhere out there, in the cold black of space, humanity watches. Waiting. Ready, because when Earth retaliates, it doesn't shout. It simply whispers, and the universe listens.